Martinsville, my beloved Martinsville. I love you, but I don't want to see you anymore. I still want to see you on Friday and Saturday nights, but I don't want to see you anymore on Sundays. You're no longer fun. I want to go somewhere else. That's how I feel about Martinsville now. Thank you to the Next Gen car. But welcome back to an episode of MDK Racing Victory Stop. It's kind of fitting. On the 40th anniversary of Hendrick Motorsports celebrating their 40th season in NASCAR, all four Hendrick cars rolled out in their ruby red colors, which by the way looked fantastic. It's fitting that they go on to win at Martinsville in a 1-2-3 finish for the first time ever in the history of Martinsville in the Cup Series. A team finishes first, second, and third. And how they did it was quite dominating. I mean, stage one was all Larson. Larson led wire to wire, Bubba second, Elliott third. That's how it was from start to finish of stage one. Stage two saw Joe Logano try to make a gamble. He took two tires, took on just right side tires while everyone else elected to go with four. He came out first on pit road. He was able to hold on to the lead for nearly the entire stage. He led from lap one of the stage to maybe around 15 or so laps to go. That's when Denny Hamlin passed him for second, and then once Logano lost that clean air, he started to fell back to just inside the top five, I believe in fifth place, while Hamlin went on to win stage two and Bubba in second. So yeah, once again, track position was key. Now after that stage one finish, Larson went from first to third, so that's why he was never able to get back up towards the front, and that's where he stayed for the rest of the race, really. But in stage three, a new contender, that was Chase Elliott. Elliott, who was inside the top five for the entire race, came out of the pit second and actually took the lead from Denny Hamlin. It was the first time where we saw, someone actually take the lead from someone straight up, not with advantage on tires or anything like that. But Hamlin would take the lead right back and go on and to have a long green flag run up until the final round of green flag pit stops. William Byron pitted first. Him and that 24 team who were around the top five, I believe that they were running around the top five, they came onto pit road first. One lap later, you saw Bubba, Larson, Elliott, they pit, and then a couple laps later, Denny Hamlin pits. After pit stops, Elliott would actually emerge ahead of Hamlin. Hamlin came out just side by side with Elliott, but Elliott was able to take the lead. But then later on, William Byron, who started to emerge as the fastest driver of the race, was able to rejoin the leaders. I believe he was around third or fourth place. And since he already had some heat in his tires, he was able to use it more effectively than drivers like Elliott and Hamlin, who were still just getting used to things. Byron was able to pass Hamlin and then was able to pass Elliott to take the lead and was about to drive away to victory until 3 laps ago when John Nemechek blew a tire in turns 3 and 4 and smacked the wall, caught on fire. We then had an overtime restart. When that overtime restart happened, he had Byron and Elliott side by side. Now Elliott had the launch, he got the drive, entered turns 1 and 2, but Byron, with the inside advantage, was able to get out ahead of Chase Elliott. Elliott did try though, he tried to put the bumper to Byron, but it was not enough. William Byron holds off Elliott and the rest of the field to win at Martinsville for the second time in his career, his 13th career Cup Series victory, and his third win of 2024, currently the only driver with 3 wins. As I mentioned, he completes for the first time ever in Martinsville history a 1-2-3 finish with any team in the NASCAR Cup Series, and of course does it on the 40th anniversary of Hendrick Motorsports in the NASCAR Cup Series. Now, there was a wreck on the final lap and it involved Austin Cindric, Brad Keselowski, and their cars were pretty torn up. Major damage to those cars, but in typical Fox fashion, they not once mentioned it. Or at least, no, they did mention it, but they mentioned it on the final lap, like, oh, there's a crash in the back, but we never saw any footage of it, nor did we know any drivers that were involved. And we're going to talk about Fox in a little bit because they were, once again, just annoying. Here's a look at the results. Byron wins. So here's a look at the race results. Byron wins. Second is Larson. Elliott in third. Fourth is Bubba Wallace. Bubba had a great weekend, was second in the 5-lap averages, second in the 10, 15 lap averages, qualified second in stage 1, second in stage 2. I mean, he was just second the entire time. Fell off a little bit in the end, but another great run for that 23 team, coming home in 4th place. Exactly what they needed to try to build even more momentum heading into Texas next week. And then 5th place, right on the top 5, is Ryan Blaney. Now, Blaney, he had a weird day. He started 9th, but fell off. He was off the pace for majority of the race, but then in that last green flag run was able to slowly work his way back up. And then after that final green flag pit stop, just started to take off, was up to as high as I believe 3rd or 4th place at the time, and then when the caution came out, that's when he started to falter back a little bit, but a great recovery for that 12 team. 6th was Joey Logano. 7th, Tyler Reddick. A quiet day for him because he was outside the top 10, around the 15th place for majority of the day, so good run for him. Alex Bowman in 8th. And how about Stewart-Haas Racing? Once again, good runs for them. 9th and 10th for the 41 of Priest and the 14 of Briscoe. Now you see Denny Hamlin in 11th. Now you see Denny Hamlin in 11th place, and I still, for the life of me, cannot understand this, but Hamlin was 5th when that caution came out for the overtime restart. And I understand, do what the leaders don't do. I get that, but it's Martinsville in the next gen era. We saw with Logano, tires don't wear. Why Hamlin and his crew decided to pit? They lost 5 spots. They came out 11th and finished 11th when they could have had a top 5 finish. Yes, they have 2 wins in the bank. I get that, but it made absolutely no sense to do that. Part of me is pissed because I betted on Hamlin finishing the top 5, and so yeah, thanks Chris Gabehart. Anyways, Eric Jones in 12th. Todd Gillen, great run for him in that 38 car in 13th place, and then Ross Chastain and Chris Buescher the top 15. Kyle Busch, another just subpar weekend in 16th. Carson Hocevar, Martin Truex Jr., who took a gamble, a weird gamble, again, trying to get off sequence to gain an advantage on tires. It did not work at all. Ends up 18th, and Ty Gibbs and Noah Gragson the top 20. And then some couple other notables like Daniel Suarez, 22nd, Cindric and Keselowski. Barry, who started strong but had, I believe, a speeding penalty that took him basically out of contention, finishes in 25th. And then you see a couple of other notables there. Austin Dillon, 34th. Christopher Bell just had a bad day. He had a tire go down, smacked the wall early in the race, then spun out around lap 204, ends up 35th. John Hunter Nemechek, 36th, and David Starr rounds out the field in 37th. Here's a look at the point standings after Martinsville. 19 races to go until the playoffs. So Larson currently is your points leader. Truex falls to 2nd, 14 points behind. Hamlin stays in 3rd. Byron up to 4th, minus 48, tie with Ryan Blaney. Chase Elliott, Ty Gibbs, Ross Chastain, Tyler Reddick, and Alex Bowman rounds out the top 10. Christopher Bell in 11th. Bubba Wallace gains 2 spots, comes up to 12th place. Chris Buescher, Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, and Chase Briscoe, although Briscoe is colored in red because Daniel Suarez is colored in green with his win at Atlanta. He is locked into the playoffs, so if the playoffs were to begin right now, Briscoe would be in. So if the playoffs were to begin right now, Suarez would be in and Briscoe would be out, as well as Brad Keselowski, John Hunter Nemechek, and Eric Jones, who round out the top 20. So my thoughts on this race. I mean, you kind of have a feeling what I'm going to say. First off, let's talk about Hendrick Motorsports. After what happened in 2004 with them at Martinsville, as you can see, I'm repping, the Gordon shirt. Thank you. Shout out again to Home Field Apparel for the merch. Really comfy, by the way. But anyways, it's fitting for them to win at Martinsville, their 40th anniversary, considering everything that's happened to Hendrick Motorsports at Martinsville. From the highs of highs, winning their first race when they were about to shut down, to then what happened in 2004, and just everything that's happened, the highs of highs and lows of lows. You can't help but feel like, you know what? Good for them. It's a good day for the people at Hendrick Motorsports. Now, clearly, this was the Hendrick Motorsports show. Ask NASCAR on Fox, because my goodness, it's like, we get it. It's their 40th anniversary, but you don't need to shove it down our throats. They had Michael Waltrip do some interviews with people at Hendrick Motorsports because Hendrick had a whole hospitality area on the back straightaway. They had Michael Waltrip go out and do interviews. They had Hendrick Motorsports 40th anniversary segments throughout the show, which, again, I get it. Yes, it's a big deal. Like, it's nice and all, but there are other drivers in the field. All right, like, it should not be the leading story. And that's another issue I have with Fox. There was actually some good racing that happened in the back of the pack where you saw some being and banging around. Yes, it was outside the top 20, but there were some really good racing. Not to the normal Martinsville standards, but for the next gen era, it was pretty entertaining. But Fox just never showed that. I had to watch on NASCAR Drive, but Fox, for some reason, were so fixated on just the top 10 and focusing on just single cars. I mentioned on that final lap, there was a crash that happened, and yet Fox never once mentioned it. They didn't tell us who was involved, what happened. I had to go on Twitter to find out that the two cars were mashed up into pieces, and I had no idea. So, I mean, again, it's typical Fox. They're not good at covering NASCAR, but it was so aggravating watching this race. The race was not that good, but the broadcast just made it worse. And speaking of the race, I mean, me just telling you that Joey Logano was almost won stage 2 on 180 lap left side tires tells you a lot about this race. When he led the race in stage 2, he did not pit for left sides since lap 1, since he started that race with it and nearly won stage 2 until 15 or so laps ago. That tells you everything you need to know about this race and this next gen car. There was rubber being laid down, but it's kind of like with last year's fall race, whereas that rubber was being laid down, but then it came to a point where it just stopped, where it's like, okay, we're getting somewhere, and then it's like it stopped. I hate repeating myself. My head's starting to hurt because it's like I'm repeating the same thing over and over and over again, but it's same story. New week, same story. Short track package, either give us a tire that wears or horsepower. 2021, my beloved. That was the last time Martinsville was actually good. I mean, almost every single year in the Gen 6 era on back, from 2021 on back, you could almost guarantee at least either the spring or the fall race was going to give you something. Usually it was always the fall, but you're always going to get something at Martinsville. Here, you pray for anything. But yeah, let's talk about some drivers. I mentioned Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell not having good days. William Byron, I got to say it was him. I tweeted this out earlier. He is NASCAR's top dog. It's not Denny Hamlin. It's not Kyle Larson. It's not Blaney. Byron is NASCAR's top dog. I mean, that 24 team, he started 18th. No one really had Byron winning this race. Everyone was really focused on those front contenders like Larson, Hamlin, Bubba, Truex, because with this race and how tires do not wear, you had to stay up front. So no one really had Byron really on their radar. They maybe thought, okay, maybe top 10, but not winning. But somehow, right from the very beginning, drove his way up to the top 10 in stage 1, I believe. I mean, that 24 car, doesn't matter if it's a super speedway, road course, short track, intermediate, whatever, that 24 car is going to find a way to either win the race or at the very least be in contention. So he is NASCAR's top dog, where like every week you have to watch for the 24 car. Great run for the 9 car of Chase Elliott. Nice to see him be up front and be competitive. We haven't seen that out of the 9 car for some time. A great run for Bubba Wallace in that 23 team. I mentioned him. Great weekend for them overall. Something exactly what they needed to build some momentum. But yeah, that's really all I got to say. There's nothing really much happened in this race. Overall, from a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give this a 3. It's just a 3.5 out of 10. I will say that the final stage, that bit of strategy going on with Byron pitting a lap earlier than some of the leaders, Hamlin pitting a lap later, that part was pretty entertaining. I will give credit on that, but that was really the only entertaining part of that race. What happened in stage 2 was annoying me so much. The fact that Hamlin, Bubba, and those guys were clearly faster than Logano, but it's like they couldn't pass him. They just couldn't until they eventually did. But it took nearly the whole damn stage to do it. So yeah, same story, different verse. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm actually looking forward to Texas. I never thought in my wildest dreams I would say that, but anyways, yeah, what are your thoughts on this race? Let me know in the comment section down below. Until next time, my name is Jett from MDK. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. And congratulations to William Byron, your winner here at Martinsville.